Hello, are we live? Hello and welcome to the 2026 Green Thumb program. My name is John and I'm with the Harris County Public Library. And if you are a longtime viewer of the Green Thumb program, you might notice that things look a little different than they usually do. We are at the Evelyn Nutter Library in Seabrook right now. And this year in 2026, we're going to do some really cool things. We're going to have a lot of on-location segments for the Green Thumb program, including today. And we're going to get to that a little later on. So you want to make sure you stay and tune in this entire time. Today's program is fruit trees and berries growing goodness. And we're really excited to have Chevy Tang here. Chevy Tang, of course, is a Harris County Master Gardener. And that's who we do this program with, the Harris County Public Library and the Harris County Master Gardeners working together for the Green Thumb program, which we're really excited about. And I want to tell everybody before we get going, we are still answering questions live. So as you're watching in YouTube, feel free to type in a question. We have Master Gardeners, Harris County Master Gardeners, monitoring the chat, and they can answer whatever question you might have live. And in addition to that, we might have a little Q&A section at the very end of this program, and so you might actually get to hear Chevy answer your question for you. Before we also get started, I want to promote a couple of things. We have our next Green Thumb program, which is going to be on February 20th, and that's all about spring vegetables. So you'll tune in right here again on YouTube at 11 o'clock. And now let's talk about fruit tree sales. Our program today is all about fruit trees, and we have some fruit trees coming up. And I think we have a great graphic. We can get a look at that. Our producer, Nancy's showing that right now. You can see we have a couple of great fruit tree sales coming up. One of them is going to be in Tomball at Burroughs Park, and one of them is at Genoa Friendship Gardens. Please check the notes on those, and you can and make a note of those, and we'll also maybe post that in the chat if we can, or links to that in the chat. And so you can find out more information. And of course, you can get questions answered live when you're buying your plants. So it's a great way to go and get your answers and get your fruit trees. Now then, let's get back to it. I'm really excited to introduce Chevy Tang, our first live guest in person, although you're a long time guest on the Green Thumb program. Chevy, first of all, how long have you been a Master Gardener?
14 years.
14 years. That is a long time. I'm impressed. And would you say, now you've done a couple of different programs for us over the years, but where does fruit trees, berries, and growing goodness weigh in your heart? How important is it to you?
Well, anything to do with food, yum, me. Yes, count me in. So this is all about growing goodness.
There you go. And I definitely, when you said food, I'm in. So we got us there. Well, tell you what, I don't want to take too much time. We've got a great presentation. And like I mentioned, we're going to have questions at the end. We also have a very live on-location segment with Chevy coming up. So why don't we go ahead and let you get started with your presentation.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having us, Harris County Master Gardeners. So let's first look into where we are, the location. On your screen is a map of the zones by the USDA. So for the Harris County, we are in zone 9B. And further up north in the Woodlands area is zone 9A. Galveston and the Gulf Coast counties are now listed as 10A. Now, this is important because it tells us the type of seeds and trees that are suitable growing in our climate. The next important thing to know about is the chill hours. The chill hours tells about the amount of hours that the plants stay in the cold temperature between 32 and 45 degrees. It's essential because some trees require the dormancy time that they need to develop healthy buds for flowering and fruiting. So if the chill hours are not met, the fruiting quality and the fruit setting and the weaker root system will affect the tree. So our county, Harris and Fort Bend County, the hours are like 400 to 600 hours. North of Harris is 500 to 600 hours. Gulf and Bay areas, less than 300 chill hours. So do pay attention to the requirement for the hours. Next, we'll look at, first thing first, let's get a soil test. We need to know what's in your soil. What are the nutrients that are available already in your soil? It's best to do a test every 3 to 4 years when needed. So here is a form that you can find on the Texas A&M AgriLife website. The link is shown on the slide. And all it takes is to fill up this form, get a bag, fill it with different soil samples from your garden at different locations, preferably about 3 locations, and you'll be digging a sample of your soil within 3 to 4 inches of the soil. Put it in the bag and mail it to the address. Usually typically costs about $12 to do a sample. And you will get a analysis report like this, as you can see. On this report, it will show you the different kind of nutrients and things that are available in the soil. And Texas A&M Lab will make a recommendation on what is needed to amend the soil that you have, the kind of fertilizers that are needed. On this report, you could see NPK, things like that. So what's NPK? NPK is actually nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So nitrogen is essential for promoting leafy green growth, essential for photosynthesis, and is commonly found in sources like coffee grounds, grass clippings, manure, and compost. Let's look at P, phosphorus. Now, P is essential for the strong root development, supporting flower and fruit production, and really critical for energy transfer in the plants. So where can we find them? In bone meal, banana peels, rock phosphates. Let's look at potassium. Now, potassium is essential for improving plant resistance to diseases. It enhances drought tolerance and also aids in overall plant health. Now, the organic sources, you can find them, it will be in wood ashes, seaweed, or even compost tea. Here on the slide, you see a Texas tree planting guide. A link is shown on the slide. It's a great guide to selecting the kind of tree you like, and also planting care, tree planting and care. Now, how do we select a fruit tree? Firstly, grow what you like to eat. Then you match the chill hours and climate zone to your location. Next point to pay attention to would be the strong graft union that is on the tree, and it should be planted 2 to 4 inches above the soil. And does it need another pollinator partner? And what is the mature size and the light requirement on this fruit tree? Now at the nursery, you'll be looking at the structure of the tree. Does it have a good, strong structure? Are the leaves healthy? Then you look into the pot and see if you could even lift up the tree and look at the roots in the pot. Is it girdled? Is it circled in the pot? And if it is so, it may not be a good choice. But if you were to select a tree, and sometimes the tree form looks great, but the roots are girdled in the pot, you still could buy that tree and bring it home, cut the roots that are girdled, and then plant it into the container or in the soil. Now let's look into the root tree stock. This is critical for root trees because that's the root system, the support system of the fruit tree. These are several names that are on your slide. The Kalayana is a good root tree stock for pears. It does well in warm winter and hot summer climates, sandy soil, and also adapt to wet soils. Citation rootstock is great to draft peaches and nectarines to 8 to 14 feet. Apricots and nectarines do well with this rootstock. They tolerate wet soil, very winter hardy, resist root knot nematodes that's in the soil. Now the trees bear at very young age. For apples, we'll be looking at M111. They tolerate wet, dry, and poor soils. They do very well here as well. And they resist aphids and cholera. Good thing about this is that it drafts the regular tree to 85% of the standard height. And it induces early and heavy bearing of fruits. Now let's look at M7. The apples and crab apples do very well with this rootstock, good anchorage, very winter hardy, and it drops to even a shorter height of 65% of standard, resistant to fire blight and powdery mildew. Now apples are prone to these two diseases. Nemagard, great for peaches, all the stone fruits, nectarines, apricots, plums. They do well in well-drained soil. But if you have a situation where your soil is not well-drained, then you plant on a hill mounted on a raised bed. It's very vigorous growing with this rootstock, winter hardy to about 5 degrees Fahrenheit, and it also resists root knot nematode. And because it grows quickly and well, it does work good to prune it in the summer. Now let's talk about citrus rootstock. A very common rootstock that we have here are the trifoliate orange. They do very well in all kinds of soil, even clay soil. And it's cold hardy, drought tolerant, a good stock to have. The next one is rubido trifoliate orange, adapts to loam, sandy loam, and clay soil. It drafts the CN to 10 to 20% and pretty resistant to root rot and gummosis. The next one will be Carrizo and West Indies, very tolerant of soil salinity and cold temperature. It's fast growing and nematode resistant, higher yields from this rootstock. Flying Dragon, trifoliate orange, a draft form of trifoliate orange. It grows to about 6 to 8 feet in height, very cold hardy, great in containers, and also in high density plantings, adapt very well to heavy, poor, well-drained soil. The next one is coming from Italian origin, Voca Ameriana, and sometimes it's also called Voca Ama lemon. It's drought tolerant, salt tolerant. It's a larger tree, but it gives a higher yield of fruits. Now that you have your tree, how do we plant it? On your slide, you see a diagram of a picture of how the tree with the roots, with the hole dug. So dig a large, shallow hole 2 to 3 times of the root ball diameter and place the tree into the hole with the first lateral roots just under the soil line. and then backfill the hole with the soil that you have dug out. And you water the whole well. And you also could build a watering ring slightly wider than the hole, as you can see on the picture that says soil ring. Remove all the grasses 18-inch from or around the tree trunk, and then mulch several inches away from the trunk. So the nice good depth of mulch will be about 3 to 4 inch. Then remove any blooms or fruit to ensure stronger root growth. I know it's very hard not to cut the fruit that's growing, the first fruit on the tree, but it is essential to help with the root growth. Now water it daily if you have sandy soil, or 3 to 5 times a week for clay soil. Now those that have the trees growing out in the yard, it'd be great to protect the lower trunk with the sleeve, because if you have a landscaper coming by, they may just whack it on the trunk. So planting tips, this is a guide to your choice of fruit trees. Let's say if you look at the slide, that's apples. And apples, the spacing will be between 10 to 20 feet between the trees. And it also tells you how long it takes for the fruit tree to fruit, and does it need a pollination with another tree, and the type of pruning system that it does very well. Other fruits to consider will be the pomegranate, the blueberries, the jujubes, and the feijoas, which are part of the guavas family. Now, a good, resilient, and productive design will be a tree guild. Now, what is a tree guild? A tree guild is a group of plants that are planted together with a purpose. They benefit from each other. They have a symbiotic relationship. So this whole group of plants will provide a self-sustainable mini ecosystem, and it also boosts biodiversity, pollination, and soil building. And it doesn't require a lot of maintenance. That's the best part of it. Here we have an example of a fruit tree guild. As you can see on the picture, we have several different type of plants planted around the tree. Now, the first purpose of a plant that does the duty of a nitrogen fixer, and that will be your common plants like comfrey, clover, vetch, dandelion, legumes, even bluebonnets. They all provide nitrogen for the plants. Accumulators are plants that have long, deep roots that grow into the soil, and they bring the minerals in the soil back up to the surface and share with the plants around it. So it's great to have plants like yarrow, comfrey, amaranth, borage, dandelion, and chicory. Suppressors are plants that covers the ground and not allow other plants that you do not want, so-called weeds, to grow. So plants like clover, oregano, thyme, daffodil, and chives are good plants to have. Next, we have mulches. Mulches are perennial plants like artichoke, comfrey. Those are good plants to have. Repellers are a pest deferent plants like coriander, daisies, nasturtium, and then we have the last group will be the pollinator plants, which are the black-eyed Susan, sunflowers, and echinacea. Here's a quick sketch of an apple tree that we intend to plant in a garden. So a simple sketch like that shows different layers of a fruit forest. So the canopy is an apple tree, and beneath the shade of the apple tree, we could grow blueberries, which are partial shade. And next level will be the herbaceous level, which will be a comfrey. And then right down to the root crop, ginger, and we use clover as the ground cover. And up on the tree growing as a vine is a passion fruit. And around the tree as edges, we have oak logs inoculated with turkey tail mushrooms. Now this plant is great to include and think about for the full grown size of each plant. Next, think about the insects in your garden. Build an insectary in your garden. It could be a little pocket berry. It could be a little group of plants that you can plant together. Why do we want diversity of insects and wildlife in your garden? This helps with the pollinators. So plant perennials to attract them, bees, butterflies, hummingbirds, even bats. So plants like salvias, blue mist flower, butterfly weed, Indian blanket, these are great plants to have. Think of, what about butterflies? If you are into butterflies, plant dill, fennel, parsley for swallowtails. For the graphilary passion flower vine is the host plant. Painted lady, sunflowers, echinacea, coreopsis are great plants. Now the 10 insectary plants to have will be borage, buckwheat, the carrot family, marigolds, calendula, mint family, basil, all the herbs, mustard family, sweet alyssum, nasturtium, sunflowers, and yarrow. Nitrogen fixes. Think about peanut plant. On your picture, do you see the peanut? Now, these are great ground covers. And if you plant a peanut plant, you could harvest 120 days from planting. Slender vetch is a very common plant that you'll find even now as it starts sprouting. It does very well in full sun. It's a living mulch and it takes care of nitrogen fixing in the soil. It's also a great pollinator. Bees love them. And it also does well in containers. Do you recognize the insects on this picture? They are beneficial insects. It's important to see, look at the ladybug. Do you know that the young of the ladybug, which is the nymph on the picture, does not look anything like that? But if you recognize it, we know that this is a beneficial insect. In the middle picture is a assassin bug, and you can tell that it goes by itself alone, just like an assassin. And then we have the praying mantis. These are all great plants to have. Now, to attract these insects, you would plant dill, marigolds, sunflowers, nasturtiums. Now, how do you know if your plant is healthy? A good indicator would be using a Briggs refractometer. And what does a refractometer does is that it measures the sugar content in the leaves. So a fruit tree, picking a leaf from a fruit tree, squashing it out, getting the juice, place it onto a refractometer and measure the content. Here on this chart, you see the readings of the Briggs. So from 1 to 7 is an indicator of a plant that is susceptible to aphids. Now, an average plant that's not doing so well measures a level 6. And level 6 is a great attractant for aphids. Now, at prick 7 is the start of the secondary metabolites, and that's where good things happen. That's where taste, flavor, color, and resiliency of the plant start building. So if the sugar content measure 8 up to 12, you get better water retention, a healthier plant, and lesser insects eating it. But again, from pricks 9 to 11 is prone to a chewing insects. They prefer the sugar level at this stage. But know that anything above 10, the grasshoppers will be the one eating up to 12 bricks. Anything above 12, no insects, no disease at all. So this is a great refractometer to have. Now, why do we measure sugar? Because plants photosynthesis, they make sugars on their leaves. And you know the sugar are sent down to the roots, and the roots feed the microbes in the soil. And the whole system works together. This is a picture of the refractometer. The top refractometer costs less than $100. A digital one will be $150 and up. Can you identify which insect did this? Picture A, picture B, picture C, aphids, sucking insects, or chewing insects. Have a go at it. Now let's talk about a very important thing, citrus screening. Citrus screening is a infectious and something that you need to know. And it's caused by a bacterium that, as you can see on the picture, and it's spread by the Asian citrus psyllid as well as the African citrus psyllid. So it's important to know how to identify this. As you can see in the pictures, it causes the yellowing of the fruits and the leaves, and pretty soon the tree will not survive. If you find this citrus greening happening in your tree, please report it to the number and also to the website. And this is a citrus quarantine that's happening in our area here in Harris County. Do pick up all your leaves, sticks, and fruits. Double back them. Do not compost. Do not put in trash. Report it. So for the citrus canker disease, the indication is the yellow halo that surrounded the spots, and it can be seen on both sides of the leaves, top and bottom. Now, thank you for your time today. These are the references that you will find that that will be very helpful to you. And thank you for spending time with us this morning. And here on this slide, that you'll find a link where you could ask questions. And if you have an issue with something that's happening on your fruit trees or berries, send us pictures and an email, and our master gardeners will be glad to answer your questions.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my gosh, so much. That's great information. Thank you so much for that, Chevy. If you're watching at home, and we know you are, I can tell you right now you have a lot of questions. Definitely you want to type those into your comment section. We have master gardeners who are monitoring those comments live, and we've got a Q&A section coming up. Now, I've got a question. One thing you didn't go real to is fertilizer. So I've got quite a few different types of fruit trees in my yard. Got the mulberry, got the some blueberry bushes. I've got some jujube. Is this the time of year when I should be putting fertilizer on, or should I not be putting fertilizer on?
Well, we always say fertilizer is a good way to remember will be Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, and Father's Day to put fertilizers. And the numbers matters. So N, a P, and a K, it depends on what your needs are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing I've never forgotten Valentine's Day, so that's not a good sign. I'll tell you what, while those questions are coming in, we're going to take it now to a very exciting segment. Now we're going to go visit your different location. Where were you interviewed at by Carrie Calloway?
A-Leaf Community Garden.
A-Leaf Community Gardens. We had a chance, and we're going to talk with the Texas AgriLife representative here when we get back. But right now, why don't we go ahead and take a look at that interview.
Welcome to the Green Thumb series. My name is Carrie Calloway. I work with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service alongside the Harris County Master Gardener Association. Today we're working with Chevy Tang, one of our great volunteers, talking about pruning, fertilization, the overall health practices of tree growth and fruit. Today we're going to be talking with Chevy to talk about fertilization, rootstocks, maintenance of overall health practices of how to maintain your trees and your fruit trees and your bushels throughout the season. In real time, she's going to be showing us how to prune trees, how to identify different pesticide management practices, and more. So Chevy, we're in the orchard today. Can you talk a little bit about, of course we're going to get into rootstock, but what exactly is this?
This is a row of fruit trees that are planted with the design. If you look at the swale, which is the hole, like a trench, and what it does is collects water, and that water helps with the drainage around this area. At the same time, it waters the fruit trees. So this little raised up area is called the berm, and it helps to structure the tree.
Why in Houston is the rootstock so important?
It is important, especially it is the support system for the tree.
So the rootstock here, explain to me, you were saying earlier what's going on here with the rootstock and how it transitions over time. Can you explain that?
So when we buy a fruit tree, the first thing you notice is this line. The difference between the colors, you will see this is a lighter color and the one is darker. And in between this color difference is the graft line. And this bottom part is the rootstock. And that rootstock is adaptable to the soil conditions, to our local conditions to grow well. So we can choose a different fruit tree and graft it on this rootstock, and that helps the tree to grow well and be successful in fruiting.
And how do you maintain the soil to ensure that it does fruit and develop well?
Well, the first thing first is that we have to build it on a little raised bed like this, so that it has the root system support, and we fill it with well-drained, good soil like this. And the way you tell is that when you have a bunch of soil and you squeeze it and it holds its shape, you know that the soil is good and it drains well. That's the most important thing. So here with this apple tree, we have the sage and the parsleys. So all this helps to repel insects that are insects that are pests to this tree. So the herbs give very strong fragrance, a scent, and that would deter the pests from the tree.
So these are other pest management practices that people can take in order to protect the maintenance of the tree.
So the 3Ds, dead, disease, damage. So let's see if you see any damage.
So let's talk about pruning. You mentioned the 3Ds, Chevy. What are the 3Ds?
The dead branches, we'll be looking for any dead branches, anything that's damaged and diseased. Now to do pruning, we need good tools, pruners, and they all comes in different sizes, branches. So this is for light pruning. But again, before we prune, we always have to sterilize the tool. So this is mixed with water and hydrogen peroxide.
It's a very healthy tree.
Right. So nothing dead, nothing damaged, nothing that I see that's disease. So let's go straight down to pruning. Here in this form of the tree is a central leader tree. So we have a leader that's going up. So we have to choose. As you can see, there are two branches here.
2 leaders going up. Can you explain what
So
that
this is
means?
one of the leader, and this is the other leader. But as you can see, there's just so many things that are crossing,
Right.
and this needs to be trimmed off.
Oh, I see.
So there is a graft line, as you can see right here. Now the graft line is good to have it planted above the ground, and this is important in the winter. We have to make sure that this is protected from the cold, and this is where the apple tree really begins, and this is the rootstock. So all these little whips here, we're gonna trim it like so, and leave the tree collar here so that it will recover from the cutting.
And what are some other things that you can identify to see if a tree might be unhealthy, such as bugs or things of that nature?
Well, look at the leaves. You can tell by the color from top and bottom. So this is already dying, as you can see. So there is a fungal issue right here, but it's also part of the cold that the leaves are drying. But being the circle shape on the leaves is showing that there is a fungal issue with the apple.
And do you just monitor it or watch it over time, or just allow that tree to blossom and see what happens progressively?
You have to treat the tree. So as you can see, the new leaves coming, they look good, but the brown dots are starting. So it's something that has to be treated and sprayed.
It might be happening in the root system.
In the soil.
In the soils.
Right. So this is where we'll take a picture and send it to our extension office, to our master gardeners. Ask a question, send pictures of this, and then we will advise what should be done. So it's important to have the branches space in between so good air flow can happen. So the angle here is ideally between 45 and 60 degrees. So you can have the branches going straight up. Now if the branches are too tall, like you can tell the tree is taller than me, it will be hard for me to reach the fruits. So you would like to prune it to a height that you can manage. So for say, if we were to cut this tree, look at all the notes here. And when we prune it, let's say if I choose to prune here, I'll slip this off, choosing a note that's facing outward, meaning the new growth will be growing this way. And you don't want to have something that's going back into the center.
So today we talked about some great things, Chevy. We talked about pruning, we talked about fertilization, best pest management practices when it comes to this time, peeling back those layers of a tree, the 45-degree angle. Is there any other last thoughts that you might want to go over?
Thanks, Carrie. I'm just thinking while you're talking, this is all about growing goodness. So here we are in the A-Leaf Community Garden. And we see all different garden beds that are managed by the gardeners themselves. And here is a lovely broccoli plant. As you can tell, very healthy. And here we have an area just under the tree where we gather together and we talk about gardening.
And we do education
Yes.
and again, volunteers, community engagement. It really resides here at the A-Leaf Community Garden Center. So thank you so much, Chevy. This was awesome. I look forward to our next one and our next chat. You did amazing today.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Carrie.
Chevy.
Thanks for coming, y'all.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We were with Chevy Tang as she demonstrated some research-based information on pruning, fertilization, and best practices to maintain your tree growth. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to your local extension office or reach out to the Harris County Master Gardener Association. My name is Carrie Calloway and I'm signing off with the Green Thumb series.
All right, and we are back. Oh, that was an amazing segment. Thank you so much, Terry. We got you all mic'd up now at the very last minute. The person you saw in there, of course, was Chevy Tang, but also Carrie Calloway, and I wrote this down so I wouldn't get this wrong. You are the Community Engagement Coordinator for Texas A&M AgriLife Extension. That is your correct title, is that right?
That is correct for Harris County.
Okay, well, so glad to have you here involved with the Green Thumb program. Tell me a little bit, so real quick, how did you come to be involved with the Green Thumb program?
Well, my job as the community engagement coordinator is to, in fact, engage with the community. So I work very closely with the Harris County Master Gardener Association and the volunteer organization, gathering and putting together multiple events and programs throughout the year. And similar to this is considered a program. And so I help assist with this as well. And again, engage with the community.
Oh, perfect. We're so glad to have you on part of the Green Thumb program.
Yeah.
While this was going on, we had some great questions come in. So we're going to, while I've got two experts here in front of me, I'm going to go ahead and pretend that I'm the viewer and ask these questions. So the question number one was all about the number of cold hours. Basically, I think the question they were asking was, how many cold hours are needed? Does it matter if they're all in a row? And what happens if the cold hours are actually hard freeze hours? Does that make a difference?
Great question. The cold hours are accumulating hours. So, if today was 4 hours between 32 and 45, those are counted. So if we have, like last night, I don't know, depends on where you are. If we had 3 of the chill hours between the range of 32 and 45, that will be counted and we add it on. So you mix that total accumulation to 300 to 500 chill hours.
And the hard freeze hours, how do they do?
Hard freeze, anything below 32 is not a good thing.
That's not a good chill hour.
No.
Okay.
Not a good
And it
chill.
does depend, because if you think of the East Coast, it freezes, but it also,
Yes.
Based off of research, freezing actually helps tree production in some areas, Texas being one of them. So yeah.
Very cool.
Mhm.
All right, next question. Should I purchase 2 identical fruit trees for cross-pollination or different ones? An example they gave was pineapple pears, a Concord pear tree, like 2 different pear trees.
Yeah, different varieties are best for cross-pollination. It helps with better fruit production and taste.
So a general rule of thumb, though, is it's not as great to have like 1 pear tree in your yard. You're going to want another one close by. If not, maybe your neighbor has one, and you plant one.
Correct. You definitely want to have a pair to make sure you're cross-pollinating, make sure the birds and the bees are having a good time in your garden.
And is there a distance that it's too, what is too far away for the cross-pollination?
As far as bees can go, they can go anywhere.
Okay.
But if you have a situation where you don't have space, you could grow 1 pear tree, but graft it, propagate it with different varieties on the same tree. Now, if you want to find out more details about this, you just have to contact our Texas A&M AgriLife.
Great chance to plug the website. Of course, the Harris County Master Gardener website. You can always ask them questions 24/7, and we're happy about that. And then we have one other question I was talking about. Where was it? Another one question. Yes, this is the big question here in Harris County. And I know we all have this problem. We've got a lot of squirrels, a lot of raccoons, a lot of possums, wildlife as well. Like, how do you protect your pear trees and your berry trees from the actual wildlife?
Well, I have the same problem too, John. Squirrels are my thing. They're always eating the best tasting fruit that I was trying to save. And here I have, I'm looking at my fruits. I'm like, whoa, I want to have that fruit. But the day when always the day before you want to harvest,
Exactly.
they just ran away with it. Goodness. So yeah, I think best way will be to net, especially for squirrels.
Okay, so
Even
for the trees.
Yeah, net for the trees and
Or
even for
overplant.
yeah.
Overplanting. If you're planning to plant two trees or two different bushels, maybe plant 3 or 4 to make sure, because you're always going to have a loss of yield when it comes to harvesting your fruits and vegetables.
So it's just kind of a cost of doing business.
Yes.
I mean, there's what I think in the grocery business they call it spoilage or something like that. There's just know that there's going to be a certain amount of fruit along. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're all
Let's
doing
be
something.
generous. And
Aren't squirrels responsible for like how many planting of trees throughout America?
yes,
Don't they?
that's
Yes.
true.
Wildlife plays a very important factor of tree growth
Mhm.
and overall health of trees. So you definitely want to just let them pick a couple or 2. Just leave them alone.
So think in terms of getting along or just maybe gently pushing them away from the trees. Nothing harsher than that.
Yes, or setting distractions, like
Right.
setting up a bird house at on a specific tree,
Yeah.
where they can kind of measure and they probably still will affect the other trees, but giving them a distraction tree is going to be important.
Maybe they can watch this program. Set up a TV. We could get them distracted.
Oh, that would be
That's a good
nice.
idea.
One last thing before we go, I wanted to ask you about a new initiative that we've got going on in the Harris County Public Library now. Is we have seed libraries at all of our library branches, and you are of course responsible for that, Texas Agri. Tell me a little bit about what a seed library is and what people can expect when they come into their local Harris County Public Library.
Absolutely. You will find a safe haven in your local libraries, and they'll have information connected to those seed packets. You could take those home, and it's just really to raise awareness of sustainability and providing seeds to the local community to get involved and to learn how to grow and garden. We'll have programs such as the Green Thumb series throughout the year to kind of connect you with the seed libraries as well.
And as with all things with the Harris County Public Library, it is free and no cost to you as the community. Guys, I think this was pretty exciting. The very first 2026, I guess, the new format with the live segment, and I think we're gonna have that next month too. Which actually, our next month program, remind you, is February 20th, and it's all about spring vegetables. I'm really looking forward to that. I do have fruits, but I also got some vegetables as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing how that goes.
Absolutely.
Guys, Carrie, thank you so much for joining us. Chevy, of course, thank you as always. And thank you guys for listening and watching it. Please keep coming back, and we'll see you on February 20th. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.